What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Hot or Swap. As always, I am Connor. To my left, you will see Mike.
What's up?
Above and to my left is Zach.
How's it going?
And this new face here is Greg
Hello, hello.
from the game Overture.
Yeah, definitely go check out his channel. He's fairly new to the YouTube scene. What, you started a couple months ago?
First upload was beginning of August, I think, something like that.
Yeah, he's made some good traction. I'll let you explain your channel if you want. I don't have to do it for you.
Yeah, it's we're still kind of figuring it out over there, but yeah, I've been editing videos and stuff for a long time, so a lot of the stuff that's out there now has been stuff that I made like years ago, some of them, but yeah, I'm doing gaming news and entertainment and a lot of fan trailer stuff, and plan on doing more like TV, film, comic coverage and reviews and all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, gonna hit the ground running in 2019. I'm excited.
All right.
So definitely go on over there, give him some love, subscribe, hit the notification bell that all of you do for us, correct?
I do.
But yeah. So that's Greg. So welcome to Hot Swappable Gaming for the first time.
Thanks for having me.
So real quick, is Mike censored for anybody else right now?
Censored?
Censored?
There's just like a giant censor bar over you. Yeah, welcome back to Hot or Swap. The show that we are reviewing today is ReZero, and just the first 3 episodes, so, not quite as much of it as the last time.
Not in depth like the movies that we do. We don't watch the whole series.
Well.
I guess we could do that to start off with. So, prior experience. Let's have Greg start. Do you have any experience with the show?
I didn't think I did, but I did watch the first episode of this because I think it might have been on Netflix for a short while, or I don't know if it still is, but I do remember like the first half of the first episode really clearly. But yeah, I don't know if the creators have made any other series maybe I've caught before, but yeah, semi-familiar.
Zach?
Not at all. Nope. None whatsoever.
And I'm vaguely familiar, where I've seen memes and great moments that have pissed off the audience and things like that, but don't know the general plot. And Mike?
Yeah, watched the entire show.
So he's definitely our resident expert in the area. So, quick synopsis as we get into it. Subaru is on his way home from the convenience store when he finds himself transported to a fantasy world with a medieval style culture, and he's lost and confused in this new world, and the only person who helps him is this girl with silver hair. Determined to repay her for somehow saving him, Subaru agrees to help the girl and find something that she's looking for.
3 times.
And, actually it's 4 times. Real quick, before we start, and this is the part that might be not PC, so I might have to edit myself later on. I just want to say, I admire how progressive this anime is, and the fact that they chose to give the protagonist a minor case of Tourette syndrome.
Wow!
Since he just in the mainstream,
since he, whenever he gets excited, he just says his thoughts aloud, and he just has to say it no matter what is happening.
Yeah, at first that really did shock me as well, because I was like, most anime, it's all in the head, but then he was getting beat up for what he was saying or scolded, and it was definitely not typical there.
Yeah, he kicked into it pretty meta, like just putting all the exposition out there, like all this stuff. Like, to me, it felt, I don't know why, I don't know if it was in the first or second episode, but it reminded me of like the mentality of somebody in a D&D campaign who's like, everybody else is around him is kind of role playing it, and then there's that one person who's just like, going maybe a little 110% or something like that. But I just felt the way he was approaching everything was just like, oh, what's this new world and all these new people, and just like kind of poking and prodding a little bit. It was awesome.
That's funny.
So let's get into episode 1. Of course, it starts with a very intense opening where Subaru is leaving his convenience store, and it starts to flash between the bored-looking protagonist and his dying, psychedelic, flashing self. How'd you all like that opening?
It was confusing. I had no idea what was happening.
It interested me.
Yeah.
it definitely pulled you in. That's for sure.
Well, and they waste no time at the start, like getting into it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, no explanation.
Buys his noodles, buys his chips, and he's
Yeah.
on his way.
And those noodles and chips end up being a lot more important than you'd think they'd be.
Right? It's his spinning top, man.
To keep the reality. Is this real?
Are the cup of noodles still in my bag? Oh, okay, everything's good.
So then suddenly he's transported into this fantasy world with a medieval style culture and a mix of both drawn and CGI background characters. That's my first major criticism.
Yeah?
Yeah, I caught a little of that. Like my eye wandering to the vendors in the background, and they go through like 3 animations or something. You know, like
Budget cuts.
budget cuts.
They just had so much of it drawn. I feel like they could have just not had the CGI background characters.
Fair.
Yeah.
But he ends up going into an alleyway where he tries to collect his thoughts, and we learn that pretty much a few things. The guy plays a little bit too many video games, which means quite a bit coming from me. I mean, you don't even want to see my playtimes in some games.
Here.
And that the guy is way too disillusioned. Going back to the whole 110% D&D characters.
Yeah. That's why I wonder if like his first fight was as successful, you know, as the rest of them. Like he really is like, oh, I probably have superpowers, and there were all these assumptions he was making. I feel like if they were true, he would be a villain character in this series. I feel like because it didn't work out and he had to kind of start from the bottom, that he ended up deciding to go the hero route or something.
Imagine if he did that little pose with like that magic attack to save the
That's
child
what I'm
early on, and like a
saying.
magic energy blast shot out, killing
Yeah.
everyone.
I mean, that's what he was hoping for.
That's what I'm saying. He had some like kind of big plans at the start, I think, but it all got dashed to pieces pretty quick there.
Oh, he got thrown into the wolves. I mean,
it did.
Not only does he not have powers, his currency is useless. Now you look at him as an outcast because of how he's dressed.
It's good. It's a nice, relatable protagonist, like a broken young man. Broke young man, I should say. He just talks about how
Both.
poor he is, man, carrying around a weird shaped coin.
then he's obsessed with one girl.
Mm-hmm.
Well-
The first girl he encounters.
He's mad.
Which-
He wants to find her.
Before we get to that character, I feel like that they were really ahead of their time on another thing. These creators of this show, I mean, they drew from us. They put in Kozakai, Silas, and an edgy gender bent Lane as those 3 bullies that were just going after Subaru when he went into the alley
Wow.
and gang beating him.
Didn't even think about that. So is Shiro being fast? Is he the girl that runs by him?
Why not?
Why not?
I guess you could argue that Shiro would be like the Reinhardt situation.
Yeah.
There you
Oh, maybe a little bit too much credit to Shiro, but
go.
That's okay.
and that's when a thief runs by, your first introduction to this character, and then you also see that silver-haired protagonist.
Definitely, like, as it was kind of, as Greg was saying, I mean, this anime is very much, all right, here's your character, let's get to the point. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
beat around like most animes where it takes even just 5 episodes to even figure out what the heck's going to happen in this world, depending on the anime, of course. This one is, we're not going to waste any time because we want to draw your attention now. And, I mean, I can appreciate that, but it also leaves a lot of confusion.
Don't worry. That's not to spoil, but it's intentional. To try and keep this as narrow as possible because we're only doing the first 3 episodes. You know what? I'll just keep that to leave because I will say though, to you specifically, Connor, and to anyone who has not watched the show but is seeing all this Rim is best girl, aside from Amelia, I want you to pay close attention to Amelia in these first 3 episodes, and if you continue to watch, pay very close attention.
Amelia being the silver-haired protagonist,
Yeah.
which I have thoughts on her, but we'll get to that. So we meet her. We meet Amelia. She ends up rescuing Subaru. He gets that classic case of love at first sight, and we also learn that she's traveling around with Puck, the girl's talking cat spirit,
Mhm.
which I like. Puck. I hate every time he introduces himself because I just think he's going to say, "My name's Puck and I like to fuck." But maybe that's just me.
Are you mad because he didn't say that?
I'm not mad. It's I'm just slightly annoyed that he doesn't say it. Maybe have you ever heard that joke
Yeah.
of the farmer's daughters? My name's Freddie. I'm here for Betty. We want to go get some spaghetti. Is she ready? The guy came
No.
in. My name's Buck, and the farmer shot him.
Dude.
And so, any other thoughts on Amelia at this point? We've just been introduced to her.
Seems like maybe the first character. I feel like a lot of the main like named characters that you meet, it's like a first impression thing going on. It's like, oh, I'm the thief or the whatever, and it's like immediate that he's wrong about it. Like whether it's his second playthrough or whatever you want to call those. Even like the vendor guy. It's like it's like they're button heads, and then there's that kind of reckoning or whatever when he figures out the link to everything going on. So she seems like the one where like there's obviously some background story to her, more than meets the eye, but you're not there yet. So she seems like the most like her archetype, I guess, at this point.
She definitely gave me a very tsundere vibe for this first episode, which I don't know if that continues on, but she expressed that for the first 2 minutes of the whole it's not like I'm helping you because I want to or anything.
Yeah, there's this agenda.
And I'm gonna kick myself in the ass for this, but she reminded me almost like to a T, character wise and design wise, of the main girl from Sword Art Online. Cannot remember her name to save my life.
Asuna.
Asuna. I saw that and I was like, it's almost Control C, Control V of just character design, different coloration.
Huh.
I can see that, yeah. I didn't think about that, but I can absolutely see it.
Interesting. And going back to the D&D claim, when they're on the bridge and she's like, I'm a half elf or whatever, and he's like, oh, and he's all drooling over it, and she's like, I don't think you heard me, I'm a half elf, and he's like, yeah, that's freaking great, that's hot. That's straight out of D&D, man. Like he's like, oh wait, you like because everybody's like racist towards half elves in D&D, man, and like she's like, oh wow, somebody who treats me different. So there's an agenda, there's motives there for sure.
No, spoken no lies.
Yeah.
So the two end up joining forces to go and search for this thief who stole an insignia from Amelia. And after a quick search montage, the girl ends up revealing her name, but she lies about it, saying that her name is Satella.
Dude, okay, I'm glad you just said that because I thought I was watching the wrong dubs or something. I was like, Amelia? Her name was Satella!
So the two continue on their search. They help some unfortunate souls, such as aiding a lost child. Subaru coins his trait of saving the day when a cute girl needs help.
That's the dumb.
That's strike one. He had two more.
Yeah, he couldn't do real magic, so he just did a magic trick. That was what all that was about.
He's mastered the illusion.
And he continues the little minor Tourette's where once those two were walking with the little girl, talking about how, they look like a family. Oh my God, this is so great. Everyone looking at us must think that we're just a couple right now. And she's like, sure, yeah, okay, who cares?
She shows
And
in her
this-
face if you look closely at her expression. She's got like the stare, like
This guy's a freak. So they return the child to her mother, and they get some alone time where then Amelia remarks that he seems like the kind of guy who wastes his whole life. Which I gotta say, I feel like that's just a personal attack against all the viewers of the show, and I'm definitely not projecting about anything in my own life at all.
Yeah, that was a hard read on somebody, man. That's pretty. That cuts deep.
And so the two continue their way into the slums of the city, where once again Subaru has to make the comment, like you were saying earlier, about the half elf and them being alone. And he's just like, oh my God, I'm alone with her. This is so great, blah, blah, blah. And she, of course, responds appropriately. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? You're a pervert.
Much.
You can kind of see her expression a little bit, and then you can maybe try to read into it a little bit. It didn't look like that it's the case, but she's probably like the same thing that you're saying. Like, yeah, she's got something going on, like that she's hiding that may be related to that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know. Yeah, maybe she's trying to hide who she is, or doesn't like who she is, or something
yeah.
there. Yeah.
She's hiding too many secrets, is all I can tell you. I don't like her.
One too many.
And
Puck is the greatest character in this show.
Oh,
He
immediately. Yeah, I had to
he
write that name
disappears.
down. I was like, yeah.
He vanishes because he's tired.
he's my
Yep.
number 2.
Oh, interesting.
Actually, he's number 3.
You like the apple, huh?
Trending down. Puck.
I like the apple.
Yeah.
Oh, the vendor.
The appa.
No, the apple. The appa.
the app itself. You're right. That's best character.
Creative. What a creative twist. Yeah.
This is Orin, the orange.
We did in fact have a child readiness.
Well, in the watermelon. All right. So they end up finding their way to where they believe the thief is going to be, a place where the thief is known to visit, a loot shop, where our two protagonists, to make the whole ending short, they end up discovering a corpse, and they both get killed by an assassin.
Yep.
And that's the end of the show right there.
An unseen assassin, too. Like, you don't even see who the assassin is. You don't see anything.
Yeah.
You hear the voice, and then that's pretty much it.
Yep.
I gotta say I did like that though. When I first watched it, because I was like, okay, like I said, that's an assassin. You're not gonna see them kill you. You're not gonna hear them.
I absolutely approve of the decision.
No, the ending of the first episode definitely made me want to continue to episode.
That's not even the end of the first episode. Remember, first episode was 40 minutes. That's the end of the first half of the first episode.
Then I did not watch 3 episodes.
Continuing on here, after he dies, we discover that he has returned to a past moment in his life. Emphasis on we discover, because he sure as shit didn't.
He could not figure it out, and it was just so... I don't know. Like, it makes me wonder if this was D&D, like, his intelligence down here, but his charisma's he's pretty up. His charisma's good.
He's like Aqua from that one anime.
He's dumb as shit.
Constitution, decent strength.
It's like first assumption would be either, oh wow, that was a crazy dream, right? Or there's a lot of assumptions you could make, but he was thrown for a complete loop.
It's like, oh, guess I'm dead. This must be it. Like I'm gonna relive it.
Oh crap! Heaven is this city again at this exact moment? That's crazy.
Take the appa. Whoa!
Whoa! There's appas in heaven.
So he continues on. He makes his way back to the slums, but he gets a little bit sidetracked when he runs into the misfit ninja again. He attacks them immediately, and he makes a remark about how he has a solid grip because he practices kendo, which I gotta say, we all know the real reason why he's got that solid grip. He ends up back at the house where he found the dead man, and, of course, the man is alive, and he is named Rom.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I like him.
Which, I don't know, I feel like that, especially at that point, I would have realized, oh, I've gone back in time. This is the corpse I was looking at.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thief ends up showing up. Her name is revealed to be Felt. And he ends up trying to trade his cell phone for the insignia to try and get that back so he can give it to, I almost said Aqua, to Amelia.
Well, like, and he tries to trade it. He's like, it's a magic device.
Which I approve of that attempt. You try and sell anyone, like it's like going back 200 years. You try and tell them what a cell phone is, they're going to think you're a fucking witch.
Yeah.
You're going to get burned.
Well, I just find it convenient. He's like, that's probably worth close, if not more, 20 holy coins.
I think it's
He's
just
offering 10. What? You get to beat her by 2? I don't know.
Which I also don't know how worthwhile that emblem or insignia actually ends up being. But I feel like if it's that critical that she's just going to kill anyone who gets in her way.
Well, the fact that Mike
if you got the funds to spare, just spend them.
The fact that Mike is holding back a smirk right now tells me everything I need to know.
Or does it?
Or does it?
I don't know. I only saw 1.5 episodes, apparently.
So before the transaction ends up being completed, they are interrupted by a woman named Elsa, who, I don't know if you guys put it together. I think it was pretty obvious for the viewer that this was the woman who murdered him in his prior life. Which I can forgive not recognizing the voice after hearing it one time and then, being cut in two or whatever. I can forgive that one at least. But despite his imagination, his history of gaming, these pieces are just lost on him. He can't put the puzzle together. Elsa ends up killing Old Man Rom.
You know what I don't understand, though? Based on the character, let's just say design and outfit that she wears, and his Tourette syndrome, where he comments on like everything, especially beauty, which was proved with Amelia or Satella, whatever her real name is. How did he not comment on her?
It's a good point.
Like, being himself, clearly, as we just said, we know how he got his strong grip. Come on, bro. Like, they're right
Super
there.
out of character. Yeah.
She definitely reminds me of Lust from Fullmetal Alchemist too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Elsa ends up killing Old Man Rom, Felt, and finally she kills Subaru again. So we're on to life number 3. And pretty much that
still doesn't understand it, though. He comes back and he's still confused as all hell. What's happening? And you're brought back to the exact same point that just happened. And he still doesn't get it.
The way it ends up truly finishing is once he's brought back to that, he turns around, he sees Satella, and he calls out to her, and he's like, "Hey, Satella, it's me!" And everyone around is just like, "What the fuck did you just call her?"
I was like,
It's like, "Did you just call me the Witch of Envy?" It's like, did I? I don't know.
Well, they all get mad at him, and even like the shopkeeper, but I feel like the shopkeeper should have realized maybe he's not from here when he tried to give me yen.
Yeah.
All he saw was foreign currency.
Yeah. I feel like that shopkeeper, he could have spoken up at that moment and been like, everybody, this kid's crazy. I'm sorry.
Doesn't even have enough to buy an appa.
Yeah. He didn't even know what an appa was.
So then we go into allegedly episode 2.
Depends on what platform you're watching on.
Yeah, apparently.
Very misleading.
Interesting.
I guess before I continue on to that point, how did everyone enjoy that first episode, or for some of you, the first 2?
Well, I don't know. It was intriguing. It kept me entertained. It made me, and I think the good purpose of a show is always go into wanting the next episode to have some questions answered, hopefully, so it brings you back. And it definitely gave me a lot of questions. And in my opinion, or at least in my experience, episode 2/1.5, I guess, or 0.5, however we want to put that, didn't answer them. And so it made me want to go into episode 3/for you too. So that's how I put it. It left me intrigued.
It's a real.
Gotta get you with that hook.
You're already in there. Look at you. I can tell. Like, you're already on episode 3/4.
So, episode 2/3. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like the protagonist, we have no idea where we are.
Apparently.
I did this on purpose.
Yeah. That's something that struck me
Yeah.
about just this character. Like, I feel like traditionally every movie we've ever seen with this Groundhog's Day formula, you see the building blocks of them be like, oh, the 3 guys in the alley, like, he attacks me first and throws a right hook. And, like, they start to learn from their experiences. And he clearly just isn't. Like, he tries something different every single time and meets a
Oh,
new
are you going to
character.
come at me again?
Yeah, he meets a new character. He tries a completely new tactic with them, instead of using the one he already knows works, the one that's been proven to work and get him where he's going. So it's like this butterfly effect situation where every time he just keeps screwing up the whole journey and then dies at the end. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I should do it completely differently this time. And I don't know, it's interesting. I guess that's kind of unique about it, different take.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
A different take on that effect.
But it's weird because I feel like his inability to really be a smart character, I'm paying less attention to him and I'm paying more attention to like the minor characters and all those other little things, and like they're more interesting and I don't know, bring out more curiosity, I think, than anything he's doing.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I think that's on purpose.
I do too. Yeah.
And of course, if you look at Mike wherever he is on the screen,
Bottom
Down
right
for you.
quadrant, sir.
down for me. Okay.
Bottom left for me.
If you look at Mike, just look at his facial expressions when we talk about these things. I think that's the biggest spoiler in this whole podcast.
This will be great for a second watch. Not to make that too meta about but watch it the second time and just watch Mike.
I'm gonna put on a poker face. Let me go ahead and put that glare on here.
Yeah, activate your sensor bar.
That doesn't exist. You're mad, sir.
So then that leads us into episode 2, as I'm going to refer to as episode 2. And as it starts, Amelia just is hating Subaru already because of her alternate self lie. Which you could argue is justified or not. I'm not going to get into that argument. But still feels like she could have planned better. If she was going to give him a fake or real or whatever the heck you're going to call it name, do better.
Yeah, but you can't account for someone who dies and comes back and relives. Like, that is not what I would think in that situation. Well, just in case this kid can come back and live and relive every day of his life, should be careful what name I give him.
But I mean, if your name is going to cause that much negative attention just by someone saying it, I feel like you just might as well give the fake name to start off with.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to hear what her reason is, too, for giving him that name.
Maybe it was love.
Yeah. But also, if she didn't want to be called it, I wonder if other things are changing each playthrough as well, for like other characters
That's possible.
other than him. I could see that happening.
That would be an interesting take and would remove one of the issues I have with one of my later on issues.
Yeah.
But we continue on. We see the Misfit Ninja for the third time, and Subaru very blatantly reveals that he still just doesn't get it. This is the point where he makes it very clear that he doesn't understand. It's like, you guys again? Why are you picking on me? It's like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? And so, of course, they stab him. They shank him.
But they do freak out. They're like, what the hell? Why'd you stab him?
It was accidental.
He walked into my blade.
Yeah, like that alone,
Rex,
like he
yes.
should have known with every interaction with those guys that they're like scared. They're scared individuals that don't know what they're doing and they're not confident at robbing people. He never uses that to his advantage, ever. He's still terrified of them.
And so, of course, he wakes up, this time, life number 4. And he finally is getting the concept of the lack of death with this one. And he calls it, at least in the English dub, I don't know if the Japanese was different, Mike, he calls it Return by Death.
Yeah.
Which is so boring. But anyway, like he mentions, like, it's a time leap. I'm going to call it Return by Death instead of Time Leap. All right. But he continues on, dealing with that same disability that he's had previously, where he's just speaking aloud about these powers. There are vendors right next to him. They are very blatantly giving him weird looks at his talking. But he just keeps on going and going. He's excited. What can you do? And then we run into, in my opinion, the first incredibly believable moment of the show, which is a tomato falling out of a basket, getting squashed, and giving Subaru PTSD.
Right.
Yeah, Vietnam flashback for sure.
which I very much enjoy the PTSD flashback.
Well, I think it also is helping progress him as a character to get him to realize, truly solidify his idea, when I die, I come back to life. Or whatever he stupid calls it.
Return by death.
Return by death.
Now, were those flashes he was seeing in the convenience store at the start from that first playthrough of the loot store? Of the loot
I
shop?
think so.
Yeah,
Because I remember the colors of them, but I don't remember what was actually seen in them right now. But
yeah. Okay, so you're talking about his the
Is it
flash
like-
you seen in the very beginning was the first
the
time.
very, very start of the first one. Yeah. So that's interesting too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Makes you
How
think,
did
huh?
that- It does.
So
why would he see that and he hasn't
Yeah.
actually done
Unlike
it
the
yet?
protagonist, I'm using information I just learned to figure out what the
Speaking
hell's
aloud.
happening. Yeah. Yeah.
And speaking of information he learned less than an hour ago, he goes into an alley and finally puts it together. It clicks in his head. Satella's not a real name. She lied to me. She doesn't want me to call her that. I get it. And of course,
Not
runs
after
into the
being
Misfit
scolded.
Ninja. Yeah. And then he runs into the Misfit Ninja for the 4th time in the 3rd episode. Or by the 2nd episode. And he ends up being saved by the sexiest man in the city, of course, Reinhardt. Reinhardt is my #1 favorite character.
Don't know enough about him.
Yeah.
Just upon that first, just even on that first little glimpse into him, love him. Think he's a great character. I
He's
can't
a
wait for them to have a
typical-
tragic darkness, terrible thing about him where he ends up being a supervillain. But I can't wait for it.
He's just the typical I'm the hero guy. Ha 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 ha. Run away, cowards. Like,
He's an off-duty cop. That's what he is.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he is.
He's an off-duty cop.
And so he ends up saying, hey, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for saving my life. Go send this message for me. I'm going to go over here and hopefully not die. And so he goes back to the slums, of course. Learning. This is important now. He's finally learning. And he runs into the woman who's killed him twice now, Elsa, and gets a little bit of a PTSD flashback from it, which I can kind of understand, but I also feel like having the knowledge that you'll come back and understanding that she hasn't killed you already, you might be a little bit more confident after seeing this
Or
person.
even just excited to die.
Yeah.
I can't wait to die and do this again.
But Elsa lets him go. They have a little quick dialogue where he does actually mention her clothing and her being a seductress and everything with that.
There you go, Zach. There you go.
there we go, finally. Not the first 3 times, but
Yeah. Subaru calls it like he sees it.
Especially when he's excited.
Yeah.
And so he ends up finding Felt's house, and she immediately attacks him, accusing him of trying to attack her, find her, or steal her stuff, which she doesn't have. Really don't know why she attacks him. But of course, in, likewise fashion, he doesn't try and get out of the combat. He just keeps saying, no, you've got the wrong idea. You've got the wrong idea. Instead of saying, hey, I'm here to help you, or can we have a quick ceasefire, instead of trying any alternative motive or alternative path, he just keeps saying the same thing over and over. And eventually,
well, one thing I didn't understand is how all of a sudden he can dodge some fast sword attacks.
I'll agree.
How all of a sudden is he that nimble when in
It's
his
that-
fight he proved that?
That's
I mean,
solo
in the-
kendo practice.
Well, yeah, the strong grip. No,
Yeah.
that in the first fight where you see Felton and her fight, they're both quick, pretty evenly matched when it comes to speed, except she gets pretty much cut in half
Nah.
by the assassin. But
You can see like she's surprised, but she was not unfazed. She dodges that move and cuts her in half in an instant. Like she's far more smart.
but Subaru shouldn't have been able to dodge that attack. If
He's
she
a regular
really-
human.
He's a novice.
He's a broke boy. I think it's that video game logic kicking in, because like even in his first alley, or was it the second alley fight, second playthrough, he went at him and landed some hits. It was like working for a
Mhm.
second. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there are little glimpses of what he wants to happen happening a little bit. But I don't know if it means too much. Just be lucky.
He vaguely mentions, I think it's probably the first or second episode where he didn't reveal what he actually does aside from screw around, but he says he works out daily for something.
That's true.
Yeah, he
Not
practices
exactly
kendo.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Allegedly.
With
Which is believable because people make comments about his appearance. It's like, yeah, like you look like you aren't just some guy that just sits around all day.
yeah.
And he's wearing a sweatsuit. You know,
I guess-
pants.
I guess that's true.
To be fair, I've worn sweatsuits at midnight to go get food from a gas station as well. Like, I'm not getting pretty up to go get some chips. Like,
I don't mean to humble brag, but yeah. That or he's like some like Playboy millionaire or something like that. Street
some
racing
K-pop
kid.
star.
Yeah, man.
I guess this would probably be J-pop, but hey,
yeah.
he's BTS. That's what he is.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Calm down, man.
And so eventually the two do calm down. And he ends up giving her some head pats, and she bites him, and it's adorable, whatever. She's like a cat girl. Woo. They go back to Old Man Rom's place for the transaction, make their little deal. He still wants that insignia. And Felt wants to get the phone appraised to make sure it's worth what he's saying it is. And then all of a sudden, and you think, oh my god, the assassin, she's back. I'm too late. I fucked up. Oh god, open the door. Oh, it's Amelia. Man, my tensions were high there.
Yeah.
And
But
that
again,
right there
he
is pretty
doesn't
much the
keep
end
it
of the second
quiet.
episode.
Like, he doesn't keep it quiet. Like, if the assassin was really there, that assassin would have been smart enough. Okay, they know I'm coming. I'll come back later. But because it's clear, she goes, I'm not going to kill you. That's stupid. Like, bruh, keep your voice down if you're going to be murdered.
Well, and I guess that leads to the possibility that in one version of these events, maybe Satella is the one that kills them in that loot shop.
That's a possibility.
Who knows?
That'd be a
I
dark
don't, 'cause
turn.
this is where it ends for me. I don't.
Yeah, but I mean, technically,
don't
she
know.
she shows up there before Elsa
Which,
in that
which-
version.
which I have very big issues with that.
So I don't know. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can make
'cause-
whatever butterfly argument effect you want to make. I don't feel like there's that big of a gap to justify it.
Yeah, I was very confused. I was like, how all of a sudden did the timeline, the past 3-4 times that this happened, then all of a sudden now it's completely changing the game.
Well, I mean, in the latter ones, I think everything past the third playthrough, if she wasn't wasting time with Subaru in the city, if they never met and he just went straight to the loot shop, it's possible she would, she'd get there faster than she would have in that first version when she runs into Subaru. They're just
'Cause she
sitting around
was
talking
chasing.
and whatnot.
Yeah,
Fair.
in the first episode, she was chasing him, and she wasn't too far behind. If she was not too far behind, and she was keeping up at that speed, you kind of think like, well,
Yeah, so I guess it could be logical in that sense. I didn't think about that.
But then he runs into Elsa in town too, and in that version he just called out to Satella, right? That was the version where he's in the street. So
But though that one, he did have his life ended pretty quickly in that one.
yeah, but that's why I'm thinking, yeah, who knows?
Is that the second life? I don't even remember. They're meshing together.
I did find it interesting as well, though. Like it does show you like the different parts of the actual story. Like it starts
Yeah.
off like where you're just blind.
And
and
what all
each,
the minor
like-
characters are up to, kind of on their way to that place.
Yeah, exactly. And like you see, like, okay, you're not just getting like one side of the story. Like each time he dies, you get a different part of the entire story,
Yeah.
even though it's like different variations.
Which makes it a very interesting concept.
Definitely different.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then we'll continue on here into the episode that you two did not watch because of understandable issues.
Various reasons.
But since it is at least listed on Kiss Anime and I think on the official website or on their official episode list as episode 3, I'll continue on. So the assassin ends up actually being there and makes a attack suddenly right at Amelia, which Subaru reacts intelligently for the first fucking time, if you ask me, where he immediately reacts, yelling at Puck to save her, and saves Amelia's life from Elsa. He then tells Elsa off in a great way. Like, it is incredible. It is like justified hero speech, everything you want. A moment that would have been great if he didn't immediately ruin it by turning to the camera and talking to the audience.
Are you serious?
I do not think I have ever seen an anime do this.
Interesting.
It
like full-on
infuriated
Deadpool,
me.
Fourth wall.
Yeah. He's like, it'd be akin to like being like, whoa, get a load of this girl.
Is it an aside or is it a full-on like?
He full on turns
addressing
away.
this?
The camera changes to look directly in the center of his face.
Huh.
It was 100% for the audience, because I think it even says viewers in the English dub.
Interesting.
It took me out of the moment, just like the Pikachu talking moment of Pokemon I Choose You.
Because yeah, if that's gonna be a thing, it's like you would think they'd have established that with all the exposition stuff Subaru's doing. You'd think they'd have established that episode 1, right off the bat.
Yeah. Which, if it was an ongoing gag, I'd be a lot more fine with it. But since this is episode 3, I've already watched an hour of runtime, and now it's happening for the first time. It was strange.
That's weird. And also, if he didn't know what was going on, he could have asked us. That's what's the most annoying part of that, I think. That's the most annoying part.
So the episode continues here. Elsa and Emily and Amelia, fucking hell, have a grand fight, and even with the help of Old Man Rom and of Felt, Elsa keeps the upper hand. And Subaru resolves to, and he's in the dub, he specifically says, "I'm going to get a happy ending from this woman," which I think is a very interesting choice of words.
Okay.
I do tell. Expound upon that.
That was another moment that just kind of took me out of that episode. But he then finally risks his own life to save Felt, doing what he can to try and help everybody for once. He's finally getting that gusto, that moxie. And he starts fighting Elsa himself. And he actually, he's doing a pretty decent job of dodging, like you saw with Felt. It was very similar to that fight. But then all of a sudden he gets his leg caught, and she's going in to cut off his leg when, of course, who comes in to save him? The sexiest man in the city, Reinhardt! Who literally flexes on Elsa. Like, he's saying that she is not worth the use of his special sword, which I imagine is for plot reasons later on. But it's just 100%. He is kicking her ass, who she's using a sword, and he is just using, fists. Martial arts. And so he just ends up picking up a little crummy sword that was collapsed on the ground to finally start fighting back, getting his advantage. Disarms her with a single fucking swipe. He is 100% the GOAT of the world. The greatest of all time. He ends up unleashing a magical attack that literally turns that weapon to dust afterwards and finishes the fight. Allegedly. I was like, all right, now, good, she's dead, good job, way to go, hey, good job, everybody, you're all alive, everything's happy. All of a sudden, Elsa pops out from behind some rubble. Subaru shows his real fast-acting wits, pulls up a shield to block an attack that's coming his way, or coming Amelia's way, that he pushes her out and tries to block. Using that wits, intellect, all that moxie, and his time travel experience, because he knows that she had 2 daggers this time. And he ends up defending himself from the final attack before she flees. Allegedly. He immediately follows this act up with the most cringy display I've seen in ages, where he is dancing and YMCAing into Satella's, or as we know her, Amelia, whatever you want to refer to her, into her heart. And she repays him by saying, "Hey, here's my actual name, Amelia." So about 2 minutes have passed since that attack on Subaru from Elsa. At this point. And this is when we learned that Elsa is actually a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, of Trunks. And that her final attack, that big slash, it was actually just waiting to take effect, because now all of a sudden the weapon that he used to block with is cut in half, and he looks down at his stomach, and even though he was just dancing and opening his wounds, if there would have been one, just completely opens up and he starts dying.
Oh,
But don't worry, we're not on life number 5 yet. He gets saved by Amelia. And then the episode finally ends with Reinhardt getting suddenly serious, taking the thief Felt away, with a one-liner about foreboding evil, allowing for a true cliffhanger experience.
Very aggressively too. See her
Oh, yeah.
resisting, and he just like sit down, shut up,
Yeah.
force.
I feel like we
puts her to
missed the
sleep.
best episode.
Yeah, right.
You guys really did. It was very
Yeah.
combat. My only issue with the episode is the pacing was very different from the first two, and that there was pretty much no plot that actually happened, and it was all just the fight.
Was it all in the loot house or the loot shop? That episode?
Pretty much the entirety of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, the entire episode is in that single house, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. So I think they established enough of the early city stuff in those first
Really missed the APA.
Mhm.
Yeah, damn.
It's
Some
gonna make a
say
return.
that vendor is still there today trying to sell
Trying
that out.
So now I'm curious. So we've kind of gone through the, synopsis of the first 3 episodes. Mike, I want to hear from you on this. You've kind of seen the whole series without going too far into the series. Think about like if you had just seen these first 3 episodes, what like your thoughts behind it. Like, are these 3 episodes important, or is it just the last episode? Sure. Are all the little details that we were kind of mentioning, like he's slowly starting to understand what's going on. Like, talk to me, Michael.
So overall, like when I first watched this, and that's from the perspective I'll just go from. When I first watched this anime, like I went through episode 1 and was like, "What? what did I just watch?" And that was the whole concept. Was like, okay, like, I can see they're trying to like reel me in, and I'm kind of interested. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of unanswered questions. I need to know what's going on. So let me watch episode 2 and see what happens. I watch episode 2 and was like, okay, I can see they're trying to fill in some holes. Are they going to try and like throw a curveball at me, like, or are they just going to go for the fast pitch, fastball, like, and that's kind of my whole perspective on those 3 episodes. And I was like, okay, I need to watch the rest of it because that's interesting. Like, I need to know what they're going to do next. That's why I pretty much kept watching the show. And then the fact is, it is interesting. Other than that, the way they're putting the story together.
What was your general takeaway, Greg?
Mine, I enjoyed it. I mean, I kind of get what they're doing from a written structure, because if you're going to have a protagonist that is just also thrown into a world and situations and stuff that he has like no idea what's going on, I think keeping that pace, keeping like a really fast kind of pace of events and happenings and all that, especially knowing that you're going to be treading back through those same little bits. I don't think each little moment has to have that much context and that much explanation stuff. Like, if they have some sort of plan, which they have to for the series, I think that can work well. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt in this front half, just because things are happening so fast that like even we as a viewer are like, what's going on? But I think it adds to that effect of a little bit of the chaos, I guess, of the whole situation. So I'm excited.
Okay.
It sounds like probably the next 3 are gonna drive a few things home, I think, and get us kind of hooked in.
I expect the next episode is when we learn about Best Girl. Am I right, Mike?
No.
No? Damn it! How long till she shows up?
You've already met her.
Oh,
What are you saying? And see,
It was-
this is the,
It was the little girl that they saved. No.
Was it?
It's the vendor.
Yeah.
Baltimore's girl.
That's what I'm saying. Like every little bit can mean something now. Or...
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you were trying to pull a fast one on me. I thought you were saying like Elsa was Ram and Rem combined or something. I was like, well, that's interesting.
Maybe onto something here.
Zach, what's your general takeaway?
Well, I really regret not watching the last episode because I think my take would be a little different. I don't know. Really, it's an anime that just continually leaves you with questions. Whether that's good or bad, that's up to you to decide. In my opinion, that's good because it brings in the intrigue of, okay, I gotta watch the next episode. It's kind of like the one episode, then I'll go to bed type thing with Netflix. It just, okay, I can't go to sleep without knowing this answer. And in my opinion, that's good for a show or anime, whatever you want to watch. Um, I like Puck. I like the character. I mean, he annoys me a lot. I'll be honest, but overall, I mean, it's a good show that makes you think. It makes you,
Subaru annoys you.
yeah.
I
Subaru
thought you were
annoys.
saying Puck.
No,
Oh yeah.
no,
So-
no. Subaru annoys me. Sorry. I mean, overall, it's a show that I feel like I could watch 3 times and I'll pick up a new detail. Kind of just, okay, this character in the background's actually doing this. Is it doing that the next time he dies type deal? And
yeah.
I almost want to just go back and rewatch those sequences to see if those little things do change. Kind of like we were talking about how Amelia Satella, whatever her real name is, shows up before Elsa, and what, the fifth life.
Yeah.
Um, it's just it's an intriguing anime.
There's no
My-
side point.
Oh.
Sorry, good.
No, you.
No, you didn't give your perspective yet.
You give your goddamn side point, motherfucker.
Damn.
Yeah. So, again, specifically taking the perspective of first watch this, like I didn't feel like they put too much depth on it. Okay, like he's dying and coming back, but he's dying. So like, is that not clicking here? Like it's painful to die. It's probably scary to die because normally you only live once. I wouldn't just like take the risk of just like, okay, I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna go back. And who knows how you're gonna die? You're gonna fall off a cliff. You're gonna get stabbed. You're gonna get shot. That's not gonna be like a cakewalk. Like, so I didn't feel like they put too much emphasis on that.
And especially because he's feeling the real pain of that stuff too. It's not some sort of like simulation or anything. It's like he's been eviscerated twice. He's been stabbed in an alley. Like he's had like kind of the more painful ways of dying, I guess.
Which
So, yeah.
they make a single line mention of that in episode 3, at least in the dub. I don't know about the subs, where he says like, basically the line he says is, "I don't want to feel that pain again." But that's really it. It's not so much that he's being like, what does this mean for me? Am I losing my mind or something like that? It's just I just don't want to.
Yeah. Well, that was it too. Like
Which
in the moment,
understandable.
first time she cuts him open in the shop, and he's just like, "Oh, it hurt," like he's always commenting very specifically on how bad it hurts, and I'm sure he's never felt anything like that before.
So my general takeaway is that this show kind of feels, and this is going to be a very interesting comparison, it feels like Pretty Little Liars to me, or Westworld with me. In the fact that it has...
This raises a question. Why have you watched Pretty Little Liars?
Listen, I watched Pretty Little Liars because of a friend in college, and I watched the full first 3 or 4r seasons.
I got some shows. I got shows like that. Yeah, I started because of somebody, and I finished alone.
That show might still be going for all I know. Yeah. I never finished the entirety of it, but the reason that I kept watching that show, the reason why I'm likely going to keep watching this show, isn't because I love the story. It's because I hate the protagonists, and I want to see them either become better or I want to see them die.
Yeah. Well, you'll get to see plenty of that, at least the second part. Yeah. Maybe that is an oddly gratifying part of the show, is you get to see him suffer over and over and over and over and over. But you do want him to learn from it. You want him to beat it.
Do you?
I do. I'd like to see him become the super warrior he imagines that he is.
I'd like to see him end up with a character who I know he doesn't.
Looks like that. Did you guys see what was the one with Tom Cruise? The something Edge of Tomorrow or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me of that. It's like that was very much a clinical, like, all right, like I know exactly the beats I need to hit to get through this, to like have the optimal, It's a speed run, dude. That's all he's doing here.
It's
It's a speed run. He needs to
Setting a record on Twitch.
he's gonna figure it out. So it makes me wonder how many times they're gonna go all the way back to that moment. I mean, I guess he can't control it. You know, it's always where it's gonna start, but I wonder if it'll tighten up eventually.
It'd have to be annoying. It's like, imagine like you've lived your life for 3 years, you die, and then you come back. Then it's like, God damn it!
Oh,
Kingdom Hearts 3 was just about to come out, and now I've got to wait 3 more years.
oh my god. That could be an ending. I could see that being a
That'd be a
way
dark
where it goes on for so long and so much stuff happens, but it ends poorly, and then they dies and he has to start all over.
That would be the most troll ending to a series.
I'd be okay with it.
Totally.
I really wish we could do episode 4.
Yeah, right. Like I feel like some stuff is just about to kind of happen there. So
Well, I guess that's kind of the purpose of this whole podcast,
yeah.
of do you want to continue? And so that could lead into that. I mean, let's just start with guess first, Greg. Hot or swap, and why?
I mean, I'll say hot. Yeah, I'm again like it's got enough intrigue. Like Connor was saying, it's your gears start turning. Regardless whether the protagonists are, we're trying to figure it out, and that's why I think like the things they're presenting for us. Obviously, there's assumptions that we're making, and we're going to be wrong about most of them. But I hope that the way that I don't know. It's that J.J. Abrams logic of like, ooh, everything means something, but you get to the end and you're like, well, did everything need to mean something? And like the things you cared most about, and the things you thought figured into the plot ended up just like completely being toss-offs, and like you could feel really unsatisfied at the end of something because of that, because you were just so fixated on. Oh, this is the key to it all. Satella could have like legit nothing to do with it, man. This could be Puck's story. You know what I mean? And I would be down. I would be down for them to just like take a right turn with it. So I'm optimistic.
That's funny.
That's actually the final line of the show. My name's Puck, and I like to fuck.
My name's Puck.
Yeah. I would say Mike, hot or swap, but it's clear that it was.
I can't actually see that.
Yeah.
We force that on
Hot.
tape.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we need like our
let me-
Jeopardy boards.
Little cards.
Ah, dang it. All right. Orientation
I mean,
will force me.
it's pretty clear hot for you because
Yeah.
series. But
Was
okay,
that
let's change this up. Seeing the whole series, was it worth it to watch the whole series and invest your time into? Did you enjoy it?
For me personally, yes. And just again on the same perspective, first 3 episodes, I was like, I need to know what happens next.
Did you watch them all in one sitting, like one go?
I watched episode 1 through 6 in the first.
Okay. Well, Connor, what about you? Hot or swap?
All right. So for me, I'm gonna say hot, but it's a very narrow line for me. At this point in the show, if I looked at the episode list and this show was 24 episodes instead of 12, I would say swap. So that show's very much driving that line for me. But
So, how many episodes is it?
a narrow hot. 12 episodes. Or
Because
13
IMDb
if you count the first one as 2.
Well, IMDb said
There's 25
26.
episodes.
Yeah.
Well, that's because there's a second season, isn't
You
there?
lying to me?
No, this is all
No.
combined in the first season.
Oh! I'm going to say swap.
You're gonna say swap. That vastly changed.
I
my
just-
perspective.
The first 3 episodes haven't drawn me enough. And that's, like I said, my biggest issue in some shows is when I hate the protagonists and I just want to keep watching because I want them to suffer. There's only so much that can keep me going. Like, I don't know if I'll watch the next season of Westworld because of that same reason.
Fair enough. I have to agree with you. I'm not going to go full. I definitely think this is an anime that I could watch. Is it going to be on my top favorite lists? No, not at all. In my opinion, this is it's just an intriguing show. Maybe I'll pick it up every couple of years, episodes. I'll eventually finish it. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch this. If I'm really bored, pick it up and just kind of watch it because I want to get some questions answered. But definitely, I have to agree with Connor here. what, 25 episodes. I saw 26. Long. It just seems too much for this show. And I guess only seeing technically 2 episodes, it's not the greatest. It's intriguing. It leaves you with questions. Apparently has some cool action fights. I got to see like one. It definitely, one thing I will say, if you enjoy furries, I think you're gonna enjoy this show. I feel like
Whoa,
I'm not wrong. All the animal type characters were very well drawn.
It is true. All the vendors were like lizard human, fox human, weird looking. Yeah.
Lizardkin. I mean, that's the world, but like it's very not human based, and that it's kind of clear. Like when he's adventuring the town too, he's kicked out of like a million different places because it's not for humans, and so I don't know. It has that appeal to it if that's what you like, but I'm very teetering between hot and swap. But just to give it the benefit of the doubt of what I saw, I will say hot. But I know probably at the end I'd be very disappointed.
And I guess that's something I'll clarify in mine as well. I'm probably going to continue the series. But at this point, I would just not recommend it to other people. That's
fair.
the difference in mine.
That's fair.
Well, that is this week's episode for ReZero. Thank you for watching. Let us know in the comments below anything that you would like to see from us in the future. And of course, if you could like, comment, and...
Subscribe?
What did I say? Comment. I already said comment.
You've just been timed.
Yeah. If you... and if you could like, subscribe, and ring that bell if you like what you see, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Don't forget, thanks for joining us, Greg, with the Gaming Overture. We'll link his stuff. Show him some love, too.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you. We'll catch you next time. Thank you to this month's patrons. Your support goes a long way, and we appreciate the love that you show us.